Welcome back. I'm going to touch on a few different types of flower divination methods. As I said before, you need to develop your own style and your own connections with flowers, but these are ways that you might want to incorporate into your flower reading practices and have a practice and develop. These are things that I have done for over 30 odd years, and I've found through research and through meeting other people who also use flowers for divination and for healing, and from reading and just from stumbling on and working these sorts of things out. Here's some beautiful roses. Now these roses, when I came across them, have lots of different properties to them. There were 6 of them, and I've retained these ones because what strikes me is that this flower is unusual, and in divination that's what we're looking for. The things that are not quite the same. So this flower to me would be very special, and what's different about it is it seems more white really than pink, and all the rest are very much hot pink roses. So this one has a lot of things that I can look at when I'm trying to read a flower on its own. It's incredibly straight, and we can look at the things that the colours mean, and we're looking at white, which is purity and honesty. Pink is a healing colour, it's a colour of love as well. And what I'm looking at here overall with this flower that's unusual, that is sort of poked out from the deck for me, I know we're jumping in and out with focus there, I'm sorry about that, but it's that the outer leaves, all of them are damaged in some way, and the rest of, I was about to say the rest of the deck, but the rest of the bunch, that's not so, they're all perfect. But this very straight, still very tight, and the bud of the whole bunch, every single one of them has holes in the outer leaves and tears and cuts. But the inside ones are all beautiful and perfect and very white with this pink touch. I would read this flower if somebody picked this flower out, or if I was looking at this bunch, the person who gave it to me for reading as well. I've just noticed as well that out of all of its sepals here, this one's torn off as well, which is next to the biggest tear of the petal too. So these are just making observations. You can write all these things down and then sit down and think about it, but I've done it a lot, so I can pretty much read straight off the cuff like that. This flower that is so straight, that has a lot to do with pure and honesty and being true probably to love, that's what's coming up to me here, has a lot of damage on the outside. So but on the inside there's a lot of hope here, and it's very deep pink. It's a deeper pink even than these other roses. You mightn't be able to see that on the screen, but I definitely can see it in real life. It is just, and it's so tight, so it has so much potential. So I find this as we're waiting for this damage to be shed away in order for the inside to come out. So probably staying on this, and it is the straightest and the firmest of all of the flower stems as well, so staying on this honest, true, pure, more pure and honest to alignment itself is a better direction to go, and not to worry so much because these are all falling away. So it's like the time for the damage to fall away is pretty much coming now. So this is the unusual flower. What is also unusual about this is that there's a double, there was a couple of these, I've accidentally torn one off, but these double leaves, so it's like a leaf sort of growing out of another leaf almost there. So that's really another indication of like a new growth coming forth. Someone did ask me the other day about roses, about the thorns as well. If you get stuck by a thorn, is that a message? Yeah, be careful. But honestly, yeah, it can be, and have a look at the thorn and where it is and what you were thinking at the time. I often think if I get stabbed by a thorn, or even bitten by an ant or stung by a bee or something, when I'm thinking about something to do with a flower, particularly if I'm reading a flower, it's making me take notice. It's like, what do you do when a thorn pricks you? You're like, whoa, you know. So I just think it's not so much an indication of doom and gloom. It is actually, take notice of this, you know, bang, come on, it's like a slamming of the door. Listen to what I'm having to say to you, and we'll watch this flower. If I've got a bunch and a thorn sort of pricks me, I would pull that flower out and have a good look at that to read it. So these are, and it takes a long time, it is true, and I've told you about the correspondences before, but it's all about correspondences, colour, numerology, flower type, looking at the language of flowers, the Victorian language of flowers. Oh wow, there is just so much depth in that can give you a really good start to know about reading flowers, because the flowers that people gave to each other during the Victorian times and the meanings that they ascribed to them are just so spot on, and they're really good stepping stones when it comes to reading flowers. So that is just very basic, and it goes in line with my little bike ride video with you before, your energetic reading of flowers. Okay, another thing that you can do when you've got a bunch of flowers like this, and I know this is going to sound really funny, but wow, I love it. I never go anywhere without a piece of string, okay? Any sort of piece of string with me when I'm out and about, because I love pendulums. Who doesn't? So this one's, it's not my pendulum, it's actually my daughter's pendulum. It's a tiger's eye pendulum made of crystal. Now I've just borrowed this for a moment because I'm going to show you, just by using a piece of string you can make a flower pendulum, and it will work exactly the same way. Oh, it likes that, doesn't it? Look at that. It likes that pendulum. Wow. That's full on tracing out the other pendulum. All that is a flower snipped off. Remember what I told you about flowers before in a couple of other conversations in our podcast? Ask. Don't just go up and lop a flower off. Make sure that the flower it's there for that purpose. Its time has done. Flowers are going to die. It's all part of the circle of life. I know people have said to me, oh, but I feel funny about cutting flowers down. Well, I do too. Most flowers I don't want to cut off at all, and I use them where they are. But some flowers I am drawn to very respectfully use them, and I honour them. I don't just throw them in the bin afterwards either. They are still used in other processes. That's part of their life. You must eat something. All of us eat plants as well, and in the same way as we honour those plants that we eat, we would honour the plants that we use in our healing purposes and in our spiritual purposes as well. So once you find such a flower, and I would sort of say which flower would be good for divination, as far as, I was going to say mechanically, but yeah, mechanically, you want a flower with a straight stem, but you'll know that because you will just be drawn to the flower. They work so well. So if you've got a piece of string, ribbon is usually what I use. Look at that. You can have a flower pendulum wherever you like. So, and I love them. I absolutely love them. And then afterwards, make sure you use the petals, because these are such energetically charged things. You don't have to charge them with crystals. I've read this. Charge the flower up with a crystal. Rubbish. I know that sounds like I'm really putting my own beliefs out there, but I am. I'm sorry. I really, really am. It has all the energy charging it needs. If you would like to add it to a crystal pendulum, or if you would like to entwine it because you've got some other magical purpose, sure, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with collaboration, but it's got more, well, just as much energy as any crystal, believe me. Together they can work really powerfully. The other thing that you can do is with a bit of wire or with a needle and thread, you can actually add petals. I haven't done this, but you can actually add petals to your links along your crystal pendulum as well, or your metal pendulum. So that's another way that you might want to think about that. So that's a couple of ways. It's 2 ways. So your flower pendulum, and you're reading flowers straight off, and I'll show you a few more in a moment.